Welcome in the Crusher. Court McKee here to the program. Get ready to do a battle on UFC on Fox 19, April 16th in Tampa, Florida against Santiago. Is it Ponzinibbio? Is that how you say his last name? Okay.
Yep, I think so.
Great having you on. Didn't you just have a anniversary coming up, or just passed a little bit, anniversary for being sober?
No, it'll be on the date.
On the
April
date.
16th will be my 10 years, man.
10 years. I knew it was something like that. Okay, congratulations.
Yeah. And my last fight, I fought Marcio Alexandre, and it was on my birthday, my belly button birthday.
Nice.
Crazy.
Good for you. Yeah. So, obviously, Chris Lieben's story has been a big one. He just came out. I interviewed him a couple weeks ago because he was going to fight for Bellator, and he had a heart problem. And so he started talking about it. He can't compete anymore again ever. He's got a heart issue, so he's out. But he was talking about when he was getting clean, when he was sober. He thought he was sober because the doctors told him he was sober, but they were giving him drugs to help him get off of his painkiller addiction, and those drugs were just as addicting as the painkiller drugs he was on. So
Suboxone and methadone.
Yeah, when he thought he was sober, he wasn't sober, and he's like, "Yeah, I had no idea that I wasn't sober the entire time." And just now he's completely clean and sober, and now he's got a heart issue. So, what was it like for you? I don't even remember. It was 10 years ago. I mean, I'm sure you remember the anniversary, but you don't remember. Do you still remember the process?
I do. I'm a big advocate for recovery, and I'm a big activist in recovery. All of my public speaking, even it being motivational, it's a story of redemption from my overdose to 5 years later winning the Ultimate Fighter. But my road to the UFC, none of it would have been possible had I not maintained sobriety one day at a time. So for me, 12-step meetings, surrounding myself with people in long-term recovery, all that stuff gave me what I have today. Because when I got sober, I didn't have a wife. I didn't have children. I didn't know where I was supposed to go in life. And at the suggestion of somebody who was in recovery, he said, how about you donate some time as community service? And so the only place I could think of was the high school I graduated from. And I donated time for the wrestling team as an assistant coach. And they were like, well, the pay's not that good. And I said, I'm not doing it for any pay. I'm just doing it as a service project. And after our first practice, I thought, man, I want to compete. And so, within about 10 months, I had competed in about 20 to 30 jiu-jitsu competitions. I boxed amateur. I did one kickboxing match. And then I took my first MMA fight. And 6 fights later, I fought Jeremy Horn. 2 or 3 fights after he fought Chuck for the title.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
It went from 0 to 100%. And I've always been in martial arts, but see, at 14, 15 years old, when I started drinking to increase the fun, I started smoking marijuana, taking a few pills here and there. I wanted to do it, to increase the fun. Only thing is, I didn't know inherent in my personality long before I drank or used was addiction. I didn't know I had the disease of alcoholism inherent in my personality. So when I triggered that, it's like wrestling kept me straight until I graduated high school. And then I lost my scholarship because of Title IX, and I went to another college, but I don't even remember the year I went to college. I mean, I was so messed up. I started taking pills, and I couldn't stop. I had a surgery. I got hooked on the pain pills, and then I found people who had pain pills, and then I started buying them illegally, and then I turned to heroin. And, I mean, it was just, it went from worse to worse to worse. And, I mean, I acquired felony charges. I'd been arrested on multiple occasions, and I just couldn't stay out of trouble. And it wasn't because I was a bad kid or a bad person. It was because I had a disease, and I had triggered an allergy that I could not, even though I wanted to stop, I found that I couldn't stop or limit the amount. And then it took everything from me, and being forced into, okay, you're going to either go to prison or you're going to go to treatment. Right. So I went to treatment.
Yeah.
And I found a group of people that were staying sober. And I mean, I met people that had long-term sobriety, like multiple months without drinking and using, multiple years. And I thought, man, I did it to increase the fun. Now I'm not going to have any fun. But I stuck around long enough to see that they had kids, they'd been through tough things, and also too, a lot of them were successful. And I thought, shit, man, there was anything from an accountant to a doctor to a lawyer to somebody with a third-grade education who started working at a gas station and ended up buying the gas station, running the gas station, and like just bought a boat and started taking people out. And I thought, dude, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in life, but I need to stick with these people.
Yeah.
And I started doing what they were doing. And it was difficult. I had to change everything in my life. But as soon as I got rid of the drugs and alcohol, I put recovery first. All of a sudden, it was like that my desire to compete was more so than that wrestling. I always felt a little either less than or more than. I never really fit in to one specific group. But once I started training, I thought, man, like, I love this shit. And I mean, you know, it's like I was just fascinated with it to the point where I wouldn't watch fights, but I just trained and I just trained it. And I thought, okay, you know, and that's how it started, man.
So now 10 years later, do you still, you're always going to battle addiction because that's your personality, but is it still that rough struggle where you're like, some mornings you're like, man, I wish, you know, just one beer.
The obsession to use has left. Every once in a while I get cravings. You know, it's like I'll see an ad or I'll see a commercial, you know, and they got the girls and the beer and I never tried that, or you know, I have people, you know, and it's like, but that comes and goes.
Okay.
Because I attend meetings on almost a daily basis.
Okay.
Obviously, fight day I don't, weigh-in day I don't, but for the most part, I go to a meeting a day. I do a lot of speaking. I was offered to speak by the officer. There was a narcotics officer who responded the night that I overdosed. Had he not found the heroin that I overdosed on, I wouldn't have been here today. So his boss asked me if I'd come share my story. He followed me. The guy who was there was like, "Oh my God, that's Court McKee. That's the guy I found." You know, and like they had me come up and speak at this conference. And after that, man, I had sheriff's department. Hey, we want you to speak at our school. Hey, we want you to speak as an athlete. Talk about your, you know, the struggles you had. And so I started speaking, and it's like when I speak and I share my story, I remember the hard times I went through because it's easy for me to forget how hard it was and how shitty it was. Because I mean, up until I had my first real UFC fight in the UFC, I'd never made my own money. I was always paying for fines and court fees and lawyers and restitution. And I mean, I grew up in a good family. I just thought, what the hell's wrong with me? And the problem was I couldn't stay stopped. I would stop every once in a while, but I couldn't stay stopped. And then when I found these group of people and I hung with them, I started doing the things, good things started happening. You know, I reunited with my high school sweetheart. I had my first child, had my second child, you know, the marriage. I got into the UFC. I mean, when does something happen like, I mean, 10 years ago, if you'd have told me, oh, you're going to be fighting in front of millions of people, doing what you love and carrying the message of recovery, and trying to make it look attractive in front of millions of people on a big UFC card, I'd have been like, no way.
Yeah,
you know,
no, and this is
I was a fucking strung out heroin addict, dude. 1 year old. You know,
that's awesome. So let's talk about Santiago. Like we got to get it. We have to get into the fight. Obviously, 10-year anniversary. So you've come a long way, not only as an abuser of drugs, but now also as an advocate on the other side. Now you've come a long way into being an advocate, but also you've come a long way as a fighter. You can go back and look at that fight. Jeremy Horn, I think, was in 2007 when he fought Jeremy Horn.
Yep.
And then you've been in the UFC since 2010. Like that's a long run. Like very few people can say, hey, look, I've been in a run for that long. Where do you see this fight? And how is it? I mean, obviously it's your next fight, so it's the toughest fight. It's your next fight, so you're the best that you've ever been. But really break down Santiago for us.
Well, I don't like to watch footage of the fight because then I worry too much about what they're doing. But Hackelman's good at breaking down stuff and saying, hey, you got to do this, this, and this. He don't ever tell me what they're going to do, which is crazy. He's the only coach I've ever had do that. He just tells me what I need to work on. So he's like, he gives me 2 or 3 things to work on. So he said, this guy comes forward, he wings punches, he's very aggressive, you know, and so we're gonna work on this, this, and this. So he gives me goals to achieve for practices. And then we kind of like, just train from there. So in Utah, I have a new coach, Rob Hanley, the same coach who cornered me for Jeremy Horn.
Yep.
And I reunited back with him, and training's going really well. So we just kind of, it's like, we just structure our training around beating Santiago. So he's forward, he's aggressive, he's more of a striker and than anything else. Obviously, he's in the UFC, so he's good at everything.
Right.
But we just kind of tailor our game plan towards that. But I've never been one to like, this is my game plan. But I don't know. It's changing, man. Like, I'm having more fun now in my career just because I'm not as stressed, and I know it's not like it's not make it or break it every day. And I came so close to retirement. I had 2 surgeries go bad on my wrist. I mean, and surgery, being a person in long-term recovery, surgery is always really touchy because there's always that option for prescription pain pills, and that was one of the things I abused. So I've made it through 11 surgeries, non-narcotic in my 6-year UFC career. And
jeez.
Yeah, man. And it's tough to make it through those, but I almost retired, man. And I don't know, I had this like burning desire, like, dude, you need to go back out. Not to prove anything. I don't feel like I have to prove anything, but more just I still got that fight in me,
Right.
I question myself, hey, is it still there? And I found it. I came back. I had my first fight back. It was a little touchy. I think I could have done it a little better, worked here, worked there. And I thought, okay, I still got it. And, this is the next on the lineup. We renegotiated my contract. So I'm in a new 4-fight deal. That was my first one. This is my second one. And it's just kind of like going upwards from here. And it's awesome, man.
Kurt, it's so good to finally talk to you and get you on here again. I'm not finally, but get you on here again. But I'm glad that things are going so well and that you've gotten, 10 years is a long time. I have an older brother and younger brother, both in recovery, and I don't think either one of them has made it past 7 years or 8 years, and they've relapsed. Yeah. So it's tough. Like, it is a tough thing to get through. But you've also got goals and missions in mind. You got a wife and kids. You've got, public speaking. You can't relapse and go in front of all these kids and talk about it. You can't do it. So good for you, man.
And I get the same adrenaline rush when I walk out onto a stage with 2,200 high school students as I do walking in the tunnel, dude. I get just as nervous. And I tell them that, dude. I walk up there, I got all this cauliflower ear, and I'm the fighter guy. And I say, man, I get just as nervous coming out here as I do fighting one of the best guys in the world. And people, the kids after that come talk, and they're like, man, you sound, gentle. And I'm like, dude, I only got to be tough 15 minutes at a time,
right.
And I get up there and I share my message. ESPN did a little documentary, so I start with that. And it's cool, man, because I don't know. I've been given this opportunity, and it hit me after speaking a couple of times because, you go through a lot of fear and anxiety and getting up, man. But like the feeling you have after speaking, is similar to like it's an adrenaline dump after the fight. Sometimes you get highs, sometimes you low. It's kind of the same thing, but you're doing it for a positive reason.
Right.
And for me, I've really found a reason to fight. And I think if I didn't have a reason that was unselfish, I mean, this game will eat you up. If you're just doing it for money or you're doing it for fame, like, that would kill me. And I don't know about other people. I just know about me. But I do it to carry the message to people who struggle. And it really allows me to show up and do my best because it's like it's more unselfish. Like, the more success even if I go through and I train my ass off and I lose, but I stay sober, there's still a positive message.
Yeah,
there's
right.
Hey, man, a win and a loss isn't. I explained this to my son. He was devastated. We did the Pinewood Derby the other night, and he like came in halfway through, and he was just devastated. Like, I really wanted to win, And I said, "Well, son, did we do the best we could?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Man, we polished the axles. We did every little thing we supposed to do, but sometimes you don't win. It's not winning and losing. That's not the end result. It's kind of, did you do your best?" And we did. And I've done my best. These last 8 or 9 years of competition, like, I've done my absolute best. And I went out and sometimes I lost. But you know what, man? If you beat me and I did my best, like, my hat's off to you, because I don't know anybody who trains as hard as I do, you know? So, hey, man, more power to you, you know?
That's awesome. Thanks, Court, for coming on here. Appreciate it so much. Have fun with the rest of your training camp. We'll talk to you again after the fights are over.
Cool, buddy. All right. Good to see you, Frank.
You too, Court. Take care, bud.